Humans, delighted welcome. I'm a disappointment, and this is AP Gaming Real. Thanks for the raid, Zonalar. Friends, we've returned tonight with this thing that we do. Warhammer 40K, Wrath and Glory, Dark Inquisition, episode 19. We got there. Took me a little while. When you guys get connected, you're gonna have to find your character sheets again. I think everything's all spread out. Total mess, but you know, let's do introductions and then I'll do these campaign cards and we can get into the part of the show that I like, which is where you guys talk for like 20 or 30 minutes and I sit back and, I don't know, play solitaire. What can I say? You know, the night of Battletech, our show got canceled, and it's very disappointing to me because I had a great intro that was going to go something like blah 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 blah. You know, I feel like I fell down a flight of stairs and was hit by a car, because of course I fell down a flight of stairs and was hit by a car that day. It's not so good here days later, but I still feel like I fell down the stairs and was hit by a car 3 days ago, roughly 2.5. But you know, sometimes when you get hit by a car, you come to realize what you're doing with your life, what a complete waste it is, and how you're not going to change anything. I was really hoping to get at least one reaction out of that. Not even Sid Alpha. Not even Sid Alpha. Alright. I don't know. So, you know, as long as we're
practicing my poker face.
Really? I don't think you need to practice that. I think you're pretty good with it.
Well, if one wishes to maintain a level of excellence,
one should hire an expert and let them do it instead.
Exactly.
The best poker face is always smiling, so they have no idea what you're thinking.
My grandfather told me that.
Is that why you have resting Pondo face?
That's why I have resting Pondo face.
Yeah, I know. Or as Ratosaurus calls it, the most punchable face in the industry.
Yeah, that's still to be determined.
I'm starting to see what he's talking about. Sometimes I see Pondo's face and I'm like, boy, I really want to punch that face.
What reason? I don't know. I still don't know what reason Brad has to.
No, Pondo, I don't think I want to. The number of people whose faces I see and want to punch can be counted on one hand, and yours is not among them.
Okay.
When I do look at you nowadays, though, I literally cannot stop seeing you as a chocolate lab. I really feel like Pondo the Chocolate Lab could be a great children's tale, but with enough adult stuff to keep them engaged. He's a friendly, helpful dog that helps Cottontail it around town. Alright, look. I can see that my fan fictions aren't selling to the greater audience. And that's why when I want to talk to people with a greater audience, I talk to Sid Alpha.
Hello. Yes, it's been a tiring week for me so far. The day job grind is very, very real. But I myself have been getting a lot done. I've actually spent the entire day editing audio because that's entertaining. But it means I'll finally be able to get this monstrous update video that I've been talking about for like a month finished and up here within the next few days. I've gone through, I only have about a half hour of unedited audio left to go through. So should take about half of tomorrow. Other than that, I've been doing okay. Kind of missed out on Battletech this week, which made me a little sad, but we're here. And while we don't get Stumpy mechs yet, we have other explodey type things, so it's good.
The night is young.
The night is young, yes.
Look, man, let me tell you something. It's just going to be Adeptus Titanicus all night long, and we're not even going to the big battlefield. You have to fight it on foot. We're doing Metal Gear Solid tonight.
So yeah, the Let's Play I've been doing with Rachel Messer, her second video went up this week, and she roasts me pretty good, and the next one it gets even worse. So if y'all want to,
I don't know anything about this. Sid Alpha, start from the beginning. What game are you playing? When is it?
Oh, The Isle, and she's been posting. She's posted 2 parts of some playtime this past week, and she has another one going up on her Rachel Messer Gaming YouTube channel this Monday, I believe.
You're saying if I want to watch you get roasted, I don't have to watch my own show anymore. I can just go to Rachel Messer Gaming on YouTube and watch the Island playthrough?
Yep.
I understand.
Yep. It's pretty great. She's spent way much more effort into editing these things than I do, but that just goes to show how much effort it takes to actually make me seem entertaining. It's a monumental effort. It really is.
Literally, her banner video says the Isle Sid Alpha sucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
I do. I'm terrible at the Isle. I'm just awful at it. I'm not a fan of survival games in general, so the effort there from me isn't exactly all that high. Yeah, that's what I've been doing with my week.
I actually love survival games so much that I turned Skyrim into one where I hated my life so much that I loved it.
Look, man, you can't go in the cold water and then run around mountains and not get hypothermia. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
I know
It
what
just
you're about.
stands in fire.
I know what you're talking about, Pond.
You know, Pondo, as long as we're talking about you, I have something to say to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just before the show, I was thinking, where's Pondo? I don't know. Is he going to be the last to join tonight? Maybe he's taking a nap. And as soon as I saw your face, I thought, hey, you're finally awake.
You got cops trying to cross the border like us, and that thief over there.
Thank you. Someone could. All right.
There's a great, somebody made a pillow that just has that scene on it. Hey, you're finally awake. I kind of want one.
Look, the Witcher Geralt version of it. That's
That was good.
where they redid the scene where he's in the cart. So good. All right, Pondo. Look, I'm gonna stop bombing on intros and let you do yours.
I'm Pondo, or Pondo the Mad. You can catch me on YouTube or Twitch/Pondo the Mad. Catch me here Thursday nights playing BattleTech. Like Sid said, we didn't meet this week, but I don't remember. I think we just had like one little bit of a combat phase to do, and then it was pretty much over.
Listen, I don't want to hear that from you. You spent all of season 3 saying there wasn't enough roleplay, and I set aside the whole episode for role-playing. I specifically am waiting for Gleemo to come at you hard for that Word of Blake bullshit. You were like, you know those Word of Blakeists, they're all crazy terrorists, and everyone in the room was like, "Le shock, sir. Le shock."
I never said that I never said that they're
remember
terrorists.
you said crazy terrorist, armed extremist, can't be trusted.
That's none of the words that I said.
When you refer to them, sometimes you say "you people."
That's never said that either.
We have very different.
I say that to
recollections.
clanners. I do say that to clanners, and to people who specifically like clanners.
They're clanners. They
I
deserve
see.
it.
Bragging about your racism. I understand.
I do say that to min-maxers as well.
What else you got going on, Pondo the Mad?
Nothing much. I've been mostly busy this week. I've been having to do a bunch of stuff for the store, having to reset everything and go this, there, and that, and this. So, very tedium work. I got like 90% of my hair chopped off, so I decided that maybe I need to stop playing Shaggy for a little while and play me.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, even when you're saying it, I don't see it.
When you say 90% of your hair
Yeah,
chopped
I
off,
think
I'm
he
like,
meant like 10% and 90%.
He must have had a
No,
mullet
it's-
beforehand.
Yeah, well, he's from West Virginia, so boom, West Virginia joke.
I totally missed the joke.
It's mullets. It's literally the only state in
Oh.
America where mullets are an acceptable form of hair.
That's
mullet.
not true
you got,
at all.
Look, you have
but
to have a
okay.
mullet. You have to drive a Camaro. It's a whole thing.
I don't know
That's
about that part.
Not true at all.
Not
That
even the
might-
good ones, like the shitty, like 80s, 90s Camaros.
That might be Alabama that you're confusing.
It's definitely Mississippi. I can speak from experience.
I think Pondo could rock the business up front, party out back look.
As long as he never turned his head, yes. Pretty much anybody can rock it.
The real way to do it is if you do it that way, you need to get it permed in the back
Oh boy.
where it's all curly. I see I see James nodding along.
Mhm.
I'm not entirely sure he's just laughing at it or agreeing. I cannot remember the act.
Scissors haven't touched my hair in about 20 years. It's just a
Yeah.
shaver all the way.
Well, Pondo says 90% of his hair, and I used to remember back when I used to have like metalhead hair, and then I was like, one day I was like, fuck this, and just cut it all off. That's how I cut my hair these days. Just a pair of clippers, guard off. That's what I do. I can't be bothered to give a shit anymore.
I still do. For the longest time, I used to do just high and tight, and then I got tired of that.
Oh no, the chocolate lab.
I'd shave my head if it wasn't such a massive fucking upkeep.
We can turn this into a children's story. #1 New York Times bestseller.
I'm confused. Why? How?
What's happening now?
Don't worry
Mhm.
about it, Sid.
All right then. I will cease worrying about it.
The only other thing I've done with my week was to build a Grey Knights list and then to look up how much said list would cost if I bought the models.
$875 Canadian.
698, not including shipping and handling and tax and whatnot. It's like 698.93.
Not terrible for an like how many points worth?
It's pretty close. It's actually
994.
That's 923 Canadian dollars. So I was only off by about $50.
1994, 97, I think. Not quite 2000. It's always difficult to get right at the 2000 mark.
Well, I mean, you'd be able to field 1,500 points with some options, like to switch out depending on what you were fighting. So
Yeah.
it's not terrible.
You know, you just list to save money. All you got to do is get some of those bargain bin models. You know, slightly charcoal knights. All right, that's what you're looking for. No, get the generic brand.
I don't think there is a generic brand of Grey Knights. That's the issue. Maybe Ultra Smurfs I'd be able to get generic just because, but granted,
I thought
if
that
I
would
got
pass
generic Ultra Smurfs, it would be just Ultra Smurfs.
I'm just. You gotta stop, Pondo. It's gonna happen.
I'll stop. I'll be good.
Got anything else going on?
Nope.
Atomic, what's going on with you?
I have occasionally been called by such a name: Atomic, a breaker of 3D printers, destroyer of vices, a rapid onset lead injection enthusiast.
Wait, go back to that first one. Why would you break a 3D printer?
So I fried the board.
No, it's not how. Why? Why would you break it?
I mean, unintentionally.
Looked at him
Okay,
funny.
all right. I mean, when you
Uh,
said that, I just imagine you lifting a 3D
No.
printing machine over your knee and be like,
No.
just die!
No, I unintentionally fried the board. And then like the next day I was out in the garage and I have like a 4.5, 5-inch vise. And I was I remember exactly what I was doing. I was doing some metal fabrication and I wrenched something over and snapped the cast iron of the vise, like the jaw. There's a bit that slides in and out of the jaw, like on top of the screw, sheared the cast iron, just like, I guess it was just a bad cast, but just enough torque that it just snapped off. And so now I have 2 pieces of a vise. It's like, oh, fucking great. It's been my week so far. So I've been trying to find a replacement for that, which is not cheap. So yeah, it's not been a good week. So it's pretty much been it. Yeah, it's pretty much just been it. It's just been one of those weeks. Finally got over the flu, so that was great.
Sounds like
But-
you need to get one of them flu shots.
It's the first time I've gotten the flu in probably 5 or 6 years. I mean, like, yeah.
I know they're saying it's pretty bad this year.
I mean, even when I have it, I just feel like a little bit more shit than I already feel because I already feel like shit all the time. I've had the flu before. I've gone to doctors, whatever, and they've been like, "Oh, by the way, you have the flu." I'm like, "Really? I didn't fucking notice." But yeah, I generally avoid children, so this is like I really don't get normal sicknesses. I only ever get strep throat. That's the only thing I ever get. But yeah. So, but that finally pissed off. So it's not been too bad, other than breaking everything under the sun. So I just stopped touching stuff this week because I'm like King Midas, except everything I touch turns to shit. So,
King Midas.
It's been one of those weeks.
You know, speaking of X, let's talk to Grimdark James.
I've had a good week. Actually no, work
nice.
was pretty shit this week, but
Okay.
other than that, it's been hot. I don't want to say it's hot here today, but 2 hobbits did walk into my house and throw a ring into my bathtub. So
What?
it's overnight last night. I think it didn't get below about 100, about 97 Fahrenheit last night overnight.
Okay. That's pretty hot.
It's up in the 110s again today. So pretty hard.
That's some
But
Texas level.
I've been watching the episodes of this show going back to the start just to refresh my memory on some of the key points. And because it was mentioned last episode, I turned on closed captions for those episodes, and I actually had more fun reading the crap that YouTube's algorithm pulls out than the show itself. Like, what was funny is when you actually tried the words to test it, like Marmaduke and margarine and supercalifragilistic, it got all of that stuff except for Bahamut. But its attempts to render Pondo's name are hilarious. You know, you get Poncho, Pondo,
Poncho the man.
Panda in there. Usually
Poncho the
Panda's in
Mud,
there.
you know?
Rides a donkey everywhere.
Atomic seems to have the most accurate voice recognition or word recognition for what.
Probably because I talk so fucking loud. Plus, I drop F-bombs every other word, so it's got me figured out.
But yeah, clearly it struggles to follow multiple people talking at the same time. So, but I just found it hilarious, some of the crap that it produced. But it has reminded me there's a lot of stuff that was mentioned earlier in the show that we sort of glossed over and probably relevant. So now I've got my character's opinion of what's going on and my opinion of what's going on, and they're slightly different because of different perspectives. But hopefully we can see how accurate they are as we move towards the conclusion of this plot.
Fantastic. Are we ready to learn what that perspective is and move towards the conclusion of this plot? I was asking if you had anything else left.
No, okay, no worries. I'm good.
Okay. So, let me say this. As you all are gathered, how do you debrief the Inquisitor? Do you tell him everything that's happened? In your
J'accuse.
You're accusing him? Awesome. Or do you tell him everything? And if you say everything, what are your key bullet points? Like, what are you sharing with him? You can condense it down for me, but I'm curious as to what you pass along to him. And specifically, I also want to know if you pass along the what you believe to be an accusation that he is a heretic, as displayed by what was this person's name? Senior Arbiter Zetar Gilweed.
So I've got 3 things that potentially tie the Inquisitor towards negative stuff, but I'm not going to bring them up to him.
Very well. What do all of you share with him in regards to your investigation into heresy, specifically towards Talrond aspects, known cult commander?
Essentially, Lycus will bring up several different things that he has actions that he's done.
Yeah.
First of which is allowing a converted sister of battle that was converted to the Lord of Skulls, I shall say. Not saying corn. essentially.
Good call. Good call.
The Lord of Skulls into jail, leaving him there, where he would obviously be able to tell that she was converted and corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
Other instances where he caught essentially people that worked for Lycus were killed and framed to be looked as though it was done by tyranids or gene stealers acts, but it was obviously planted evidence to make it look like so. Then we're able to find someone who, what was this guy? We found his old hideout, essentially, where he had a mind washing device that allowed him to trick, to
Neural
hypnotize?
imprint. It was a neural imprinting.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the word. Neural imprinting, essentially to allow the person to believe that he was him in order to evade us yet again. And that he actually knows, that Lycus actually has a feeling that he actually knew about the, possibly knew about the Tyranid invasion that's yet to come. Due to, and the implanting of evidence to make it look like gene stealers was a way to warn them. And he was also the one that informed Lycus and his crew of the Festival of Fists that occurred.
May I offer some further explanation?
So
Yes.
I feel like as you've been doing this, we get a voiceover by Lycus and not hard cuts but soft transitions where everyone is sitting in seats and then like which seat they're sitting in is moving and the Inquisitor takes his hat off and it's clear that hours are passing as this is going on. At one point there's a tray full of like a dozen sandwiches and then the next cut there's literally just one sandwich left and it's right in front of Antipho. But yeah, it's clear that this discussion, you guys just came back from a battle, you're exhausted, Kalrak has been stabbed repeatedly. You know, the Inquisitor's room is still filled with the remains of some sort of anti-chaos ritual, but you can't stop talking. Eldar Ranger, Eshairr, please, what additional points do you have to share about your investigation into heresy?
So it seems to us that there are possibly 3 different factions in play here. The first appears to be the followers of She Who Thirsts, those that are led by this drill abbot or drill abbot in training, Taron Aspects. He's obviously been the one that's been involved with the Emperor's Children, and apparently was also responsible for the attack on the Hospitalia Enclave 6 months ago, although that's potentially debatable. The second faction appears to be the worshippers of the Brass Throne. And they seem to be divided somewhat between those who outright worship in that name and those who have been tricked into believing their worship of your God Emperor is the same as the Throne of Skulls. They appear to have integrated themselves into the Imperial Church here on Rignum Prime and possibly may have included corrupting Wilmot Ritter, and who was killed obviously, and also the assassin that worked with us for some time displayed signs of having been under the influence of the Lord of Blood and Skulls without necessarily believing that's what she was doing. It looks like these 2 factions have been at each other's throats. A lot of the attacks that have been going on have been directed by one side against the other, and vice versa. But there also appears to be a third faction involved here, which is potentially trying to unite the 2 sides, or alternatively weed out those within each side who won't be united. A more sinister force. So at this point, it appears that the Scholar Progeniums are influenced by the cult of She Who Thirsts, as is evidenced in their integration into the Arbites. Even the Aspects himself used to be a member of the Tempestus militarum. And then the church seems to be harboring or inadvertently harboring followers of the brass throne. There is evidence that points back to, well, not evidence, but there is speculation that points back to the force trying to unite these groups being tied to the government at a high level, or potentially an interplanetary force, potentially even this enclave itself, someone within this enclave.
Is there anything else you all have to share about your investigations into this heresy?
Out of character, I can't recall what else would need to be relayed. It's been a while.
Very well. I mean, that's why we're doing this recap right here. And none of you have any reports about each other's heresy. Nothing you've seen that might be worrying. You have been in continual contact with heretics, and even on the battlefield against greater demons. Feel free to speak freely, as it were.
To be honest, we've been going from place to place dealing with this on a nearly constant basis. If any of us would have had any opportunity to or been trying to engage in any activity counter to what we're trying to produce, there would have been no time to do that or to recognize that. Since we returned after our 6-month break, we've been on the go from battle to battle, from situation to situation, almost constantly.
I'm afraid that's not likely to end for the next few days. Lycus, do you agree with Eshairr's consideration that none of your group members have displayed signs of heresy?
Yes.
Very well. I will fill you in on what has happened since our briefing has begun, or debriefing as it is. As I mentioned previously, Lady Pisha's true objective here as an Inquisitor is to investigate herself, to find any temporal crimes she may have committed, or if someone has committed them in her name, some sort of heretical plot to draw her here. That said, her very real adherence to the Vigilus timekeeping calendar is as cumbersome as it is annoying. Second, only a small number of engine seers remain on planet. The rest are transporting themselves back to the Forge world. And from what we are detecting, they may be factionalizing. Ships are entering geosynchronous orbit and beginning what I can only describe as strategic maneuvers against each other. I suspect that ground forces may be doing the same thing underneath these locations. And our defense plans have been activated. All surplus guardsmen on the planet are being transported by the Navy to our defensive satellite location, where we believe the Tyranids will first strike. Guardsmen regiments and auxiliary forces from each of the other planets are making their way as well. However, while you should keep the potential Tyranid invasion in mind, that is not your particular task, and I don't anticipate you needing to face down against them, except in the most dire of failures. I am calling forth, at the conclusion of this meeting, contingent of Janissaries and true priests from Shrine World Valorum. We will be cleansing the local priesthood at your recommendation. Those who do not meet a certain level of purity will be removed.
Very well.
Do you have any suggestions that should be added to this action plan?
Lord Inquisitor, may I ask, what is the status of the other Inquisitor of the Rogue Trader fleet and Explorator fleet that she arrived with?
She
Are they
has
among our allies?
She has commandeered one of my light cruisers and is heading towards Shrine World Valorum. Her itinerary is not known to me beyond attempting to kill a future or past self of hers. As for the rogue trader, he remains useless. His unusual circumstances prevent me from being able to call him into service.
He's actually offered to invite us onto his ship to talk to him at some point.
I would take a great care entering that one's vessel. I would prefer that your team return from such an excursion still in the employ of the Inquisition.
Absolutely.
He was quite specific. He only wanted to meet aboard his vessel.
Yes, I suspect so. Rogue traders are known for shanghaiing good Imperial citizens into their service. And yes, this is the first that we have heard of the outside since the Cicatrix Maledictum. But if you were to get on that vessel, he may very well decide to leave the planet, risking all of your lives. I don't even know if warp travel away from the planet is possible now that we are within the shadow. But I didn't think getting through the Cicatrix Maledictum was possible either. What is your plans from here, Lycus? What is the next step towards handling the hunt for Talrond aspects? Perhaps one of the final threads we need to clean up here. I'm giving you 24 hours before I need to assign you to another task. Several of my other teams have had great success with my primary objective. And I will be reassigning teams as necessary to complete it.
We will attempt to go after Talon aspects within the 24 hours. If we cannot get to him, then new assignment we will take.
If you cannot find him in 24 hours, you will return here. My question is, how will you find him?
I have a few ideas, but most of them will not work. Considering that we slaughtered an entire town, we know one place he is not. Of course, that's only a small.
If I may, Acolyte?
Yes.
Either his entire faction has turned from the Imperium and is in hiding now, or alternatively, he still has some followers within the Imperial system feeding him information. Perhaps finding these followers. Perhaps we could start with the convent where the sister novice that he imprisoned came from.
I see. The Ministorum Chapel in Precinct J125. The will shall not erode in the face of temptation. Yes.
But maybe
I didn't expect anyone to write that down. That's what it was called.
The fact that you did implies that it is. it seems relevant.
The church where you came into contact with Wilmot Ritter and Drill Abbot Talrond aspects, correct?
Yes.
You wish to return to the scene of that particular situation.
There would at least be a lead.
Very well.
We shall leave immediately. With your permission, of course.
One last thing.
So,
Well, this is more to the rest of my team, but also in your presence. Given the impending threat that the Great Devourer poses, I feel like we should cast off any pretense of our allegiance when it comes to soliciting the help of Imperial citizens. I know we've tried in the past to maintain some level of separation from this association, but I think that the time that will add will only make our job harder.
They're unlikely to survive a Tyranid invasion anyway.
if our defense plans hold as predicted, the Tyranids will not get past our defense satellite. I have full confidence. The plans have been in motion for over 100 years. You wish to more readily recruit Imperial citizens to your side, then?
Well, we simply wish to press people for information that they would be unwilling to give to somebody who doesn't carry the authority that your Rosette carries.
It may also be in a way to draw out Tauron. Hearing that I am recruiting may pique his interest a little bit.
So he reaches up to his hat and removes his own Aquila Rosette. Sorry. And hands it to you and says, I think you will find that this will open doors at armories, parties, and the hearts of Imperial citizens. I expect you to return this at the end of the next 24 hours. I am showing you an extraordinary level of trust, but you all have earned some small measure of respect from me.
He says, as we literally finished last episode by planning on taking him out.
What he doesn't know won't hurt us.
Yet.
Lycus, I want to be extremely clear. Come back with the Rosette, or not at all.
I will.
Or not, as the case may be.
I will return with the Rosette. And hopefully the head of Tauron aspects.
You are dismissed.
Thank you.
Just kind of looking up at Kalrak as we're leaving. Don't you need to get fixed or something?
I will make sure to visit an apothecary. I'll be quite fine, I assure you. I've had worse. He indicates to his legs.
Maybe we could secure our own vehicle, so rather than being flown around by the agents here, just so we can talk privately, since I can't mind link while we're in the shadow of the Great Devourer.
Right. Perhaps this is the point where we need to try to procure something. At least for me, one pistol. I feel as though my armory isn't as well adapted as everybody else's.
It's probably worth pointing out too that if you're going to be wearing Ignitus pattern power armor, then pretending not be Inquisition is probably pretty pointless. Given it's probably covered in Inquisitorial logos and
Most of them always have it's like a 7-inch stylized eye. You know, the sigil of Malcador in the center of the chest. So
Yeah. Can't hide a cloak with that, probably. We need a big cloak.
it probably comes with a cloak, I imagine, right?
So I meant to ask before, Arthur, during that montage of speaking, would it be possible to just when not speaking, looking around the room, examining the ritual that was done and just trying to determine anything about that?
So the ice mushrooms that were weeping blood have started to melt into a pool of so the blood isn't drying because it's in a pool of water, so it's like real funky mess. there's a carved human ritual into the floor. You know that they use these sometimes in order to enhance their powers. What fools they are. They haven't mastered runes yet. I mean, that's some basic level stuff. The bodies have been removed by a servitor when you came in, but you can see that they themselves, all of their internal organs exchange places with their skin. So their skin was on the inside of their body, and their internal organs were on the outside of the body. And so when they were being removed, some bits and pieces, mostly a metric fuck ton of blood and internal fluids, were left behind while dragging. You know, there might be an appendix and a spleen left around. It's nasty. You looking for anything further than that? Like maybe some close investigation? Maybe some...
Yeah, trying to determine what the purpose of the ritual was.
Very well. Let's make a warp sciences roll. Psychic mastery, I would think.
Yeah, psychic mastery probably be the one. Yeah.
I knew warp sciences wasn't a skill. I just didn't know what it was called. And warp sciences, now that I'm thinking about it, actually sounds like a really cool thing. Well, that looks like a 6 on the Wrath die.
Yeah, so that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 successes.
Well, I'm gonna tell you everything you want. Do you want to throw that success in there, or the super critical?
Yep.
Okay, so this is linked to the ritual here is linked to a number of other rituals. You can sense that at some point, this is like an amplifier, basically, for a sort of planetary warp defense mechanism.
Like a locus or something?
Yeah, it's like a ley line point or something like that. You know, I know that that's not a thing in Warhammer 40K, but yeah, it's like a reserve for locations around the planet that have all been set up. And so if you pour warp power into it, psyker power into it, you can protect the planet, essentially. The ritual that was specifically invoked here was... kind of it's specifically anti-demonic, and it was done by sacrificing the lives of psychers, essentially completely burning them out in an instant in order to sort of create an emergency shield.
So, speculating, could this actually be the cause of the planet being cut off from the warp rather than the Tyranid's shadow?
It is possible, but it's not currently doing that.
Okay, but that's
definitely could be used to do what you're thinking about, but what's happening now is not that. The ritual is not currently active.
Okay, that's what I wanted to see, was just whether that was possible.
It is possible.
All right, I'm good to go then.
Okay. All of you exit the room.
I would like to procure something real quick.
Maybe we blew up that gun store.
I think I'd like to procure a heavy flamer.
Okay.
It is 5 rare, and I share a keyword with it, which I don't remember what that does.
You don't have to make a roll.
Okay.
Gives you an extra dice normally.
When you show up wearing Inquisitorial power armor, carrying a rosette, they just... it takes like 10 minutes for them to find one, but a Hospitaller comes out of the armory. Instead of the geeky guy who you've already filed some reports about, she comes back and places the sacred flamer in front of you and says, Acolyte?
Hospital?
Do you require additional information about the maintenance and usage of this weapon?
No, I'm fairly familiar with it.
I have been instructed by the Munitorum and Adeptus Mechanicus both to provide you with this user manual for perusal.
I like the idea of a heavy flamer coming with a -10. It's funny.
Congratulations on your purchase of the Mars pattern heavy flame.
Kalrak's seeing this is gonna lean it. I mean, actually, Lycus is probably about his height now, and just say the word melt-a-gun.
I don't know if they'll give me a melt-a-gun, but that would be helpful. That is actually not as rare. I don't know. I think I'd be better off getting an Inferno pistol.
I mean, you can never go wrong with a heavy flamer.
Yeah, I'm fine with the heavy flamer. I was thinking of getting a heavy stubber, but I was like, maybe
No, heavy flamer.
crowd control wouldn't be bad because we lack that typically.
Well, plus there's an intimidation factor because people, this will surprise you, do not like being set on fire.
Yeah.
Shocking, I know. It's also good against Tyranids, well, in theory.
I don't know what else we need.
District vehicle to get around town in.
Yeah.
Is there a car or something that we can procure temporarily?
An Inquisitorial drop transport?
Sure.
That'll do, donkey, that'll
Do
do.
we need to sign anything?
She calls back to the adept who comes back forward, and after 10 minutes of printing out, and it's the oldest school of printouts. It's from one of those what are the dot matrix, the spoke ones. He places reams of paper in front of you and says, sign here, here, and here.
All right.
Do you have someone that can pilot the vehicle, or will we need to provide that?
No, I can pilot it.
Then check here.
Okay.
It is your responsibility to return this vehicle intact with the gas tank full.
Get the extra insurance cover.
Yes.
I like the idea of us crashing like an Inquisitorial Valkyrie, and then like him trying to fill out what the fuck happened in that tiny little box.
Chaos spawned from out of nowhere.
Oh, you're out of space.
They make these things too damn short.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
You get an Inquisitorial Valkyrie.
Well, I guess we're good to go. Honestly, this was way too easy. Shall we be off?
I mean,
Might as well.
the adept that you're talking to is just like, I don't know, should you be off?
Yes, we shall. We have not very much time to waste.
Good luck, Acolyte.
I will need it. Guess we all head out to where
He
the
was like,
Valkyrie
that was a
is.
trick. What you need is faith in the Emperor. I know that was
That
you
goes
that
along with
filed that report.
That goes along with luck. And for as many people to he just cuts off
All right.
as he leaves the room.
You are acting as pilot for this airborne assault craft.
Yes.
Could possibly go wrong.
I mean, I'm not injured this time, so
We crash and you all die.
I'm sorry if I said anything that wasn't expected in front of the Inquisitor there.
that's fine so long as you didn't can I check this thing for any bugs possibly?
Yes. Let's see.
Let me do that first.
Yeah. You're also going to need someone to act as your navigator, but I would say investigation is what you would use here, or maybe tech. Depends on how you want to go about this.
What's your tech score?
Bad.
5.
I've got a 6.
He has a 9
I think I'd be
investigation.
looking at the typical Inquisition spots to plant a bug. Kalrak would actually probably be looking in towards the the wiring and whatnot.
Okay. Why don't you? So you're gonna make an investigation check?
Yes.
Let's do it.
9 dice.
Well, that's a 1.
That's
Critical.
That's a lot of not successes.
fail.
Honestly.
I'd be surprised if there were bugs. You know, like given each Inquisitor's proclivity for secrecy.
Yeah.
Seems like somebody planted a bug, so there'd be some heads rolling.
You don't
I
get to
rerolled the rat
reroll.
die, but it means
Wow, you
like,
still rerolled it as a 1. Incredible.
yeah. So it ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 successes.
Okay. You don't find any bugs per se, but as an inquisitorial vehicle, it does have a like a GPS tracking on it, so if someone were to insanely steal it, they could get it back. It's a LoJack, basically.
Okay.
OnStar.
They don't actually go to recover it. They just exterminatus the entire planet it's on. Like, fuck that guy.
I don't see anything. But I was...
There's an option to turn it off if you wanted to. You could just like flip the switch, turn the
GPS is fine.
I mean, if you don't want to broadcast, you know, we're trying to. I guess we're not trying to maintain any sense of cover, so.
Not at the moment. Actually, it would be best to be well known, so that way maybe draw out the enemy. I don't know.
So what are you doing? Turn it on?
Right, should we
turning it off, or you're just going to take off with it turned on? And it's on like a protected channel. It's not like other people could easily access this information, right?
We don't need to hide where we are, I don't think. I think that hiding ourselves is more suspicion than allowing them to know where we are.
No, we have no need to turn this off.
Mm.
Very
More fun that way anyways. Let them know we're coming.
Can I check the rosette to see if there's like some sort of microphone thing?
My God. Yes, please make a tech check.
Over paranoia never hurts.
I'll make a flying Inquisitor.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With a 6 on the wrath die.
It's a sealed icon. It's made of Peluvian obsidian. It's unadorned and plain. It has a motto written on the back. Does not appear to contain any listening devices or any electronics at all.
Excellent. All right, now all the ducks in a row. Sorry,
so I'm saying this out of character, but it could be said in character in other ways as well. But basically, it is possible to spend 1 XP on an extra language and have the entire group take like a cipher language. Like if we wanted to sort of design our own form of double speak.
Yeah.
Like Eisenhorn's Glossier.
I was about to say, Glossier is a good one.
Yeah, you guys are just going to learn how to do thief scan.
I mean, Space Marine battle language is a thing. Might be able to teach them, and it's not that complicated.
I do have a spare XP.
As do I.
I've got plenty.
Going through that.
I mean, we could do something like Glossier. Like the whole point of that is so that you could talk over unencrypted communications, and then no one would know what you were talking about.
Okay, if everyone's spending XP, you've already checked for microphones twice. But you might as well...
For the future, rather than... I'm not saying we need to retroactively
right now, it'd be a little cheesy.
Given that we've gotten very paranoid.
Who's acting as navigator on this?
When he asks who can navigate, I don't even say anything. I just slide in the navigator's seat.
Very well.
Recall my psycho conditioning. It's not a Thunderhawk, but you know it'll do.
Let me ask, what's up with Eshairr and Antipho then? Are they strapped in the back in the drop seats, or are they hanging out?
Is there a space to sit in the front? Because I want to talk to everybody. On the way there.
Do not know what the layout of a Valkyrie looks like, but I will say yes, just to accommodate this.
The Valkyrie is more like a Apache, whereas it's got like a seat one behind the other.
Yeah.
You know, like a helicopter style. So it's not really like a
Isn't
like a gunship.
Let me say that this Inquisitorial Valkyrie is perhaps designed to allow a 4-person standard Inquisitorial team to sit in the front and all talk together. It's
Or
more
at
like
I mean, it can have like an in.
Well, I was gonna say at the
in-
very least, there could be a door separating the troop compartment from the cockpit that we could just leave open.
sure.
Or
I'm sure it
Conversation
has
is
some
possible.
type of. I'm sure it has some type of like intercom system,
Yeah.
like most vehicles like that do.
where it's like all linked up to a single radio. Yeah.
So I mean, just shit's lab. So could easily
So I
do
feel
that.
like I should expand on my suspicions from before, just regarding why I had concerns about the Inquisitor. Not only the strangeness of his ritual, which did appear to be designed as a demonic protection. It does seem to fit that, although it could also be a similar ritual could also enact what we're experiencing right now with this apparent shadow from the Great Devourer. That being said, there was also the matter of what the Arbiter said before he was killed. But going further back, I spent some time meditating on our time previously and thought back to earlier things that may not have seemed strange then, but are perhaps stranger now. Even going back to our first mission together, where the Inquisitor sent us to collect that data from the data vault in the lower hive. None of us ever read it. He told us afterwards that it was something completely innocuous, just a recipe. But it did raise suspicions that this Inquisitor is asking us to get information out of a secured location. Once again, strange that a recipe for Imperial Guard food was secured in such a way as well. That was where my suspicions began. There's also the fact that there was the attack on the Hospitaller enclave that killed Ritter. In that particular case, we assumed at the time it was the Emperor's Children Sorcerer and his followers. They appeared within hours of that attack and attacked the church then. But there was also the fact that relics were stolen from the vault in that enclave, and there was evidence that a force sword had been used. The only two people we've ever observed use a force sword have been that Chaos Sorcerer and the Inquisitor. If there was a third faction in play that also involved Heretic Astartes, I feel like they were the ones responsible for the attack on the Hospitaller enclave, not the Emperor's Children. But these are only speculation. There's no proof either way.
That's when Eshairr goes. She sits with her hands on her knees, her head down, and says, "Have we ever seen Talrond and Calidus in the same room at the same time?"
My God.
I believe them to be the same person. Sorry, listen, if you skipped introductions, what you need to know is that James went back and rewatched the first couple of episodes to refresh his memories. That's why I started laughing at the beginning of this.
I was going to make a joke at the expense of the Council of Heresy, but I decided against it.
A wise move. The Council is a very serious organization. Serious men.
As much as I like to consider that the third faction could have been of the Lord of Change, I highly doubt that it is. And as you do bring a good point, the only ones that we know of that had forced weapons, aside from all the Grey Knights who were not here at the time of the attack, were of the Sorcerer and the Inquisitor. So suspicions are still there for me as well.
Could also be every bit as likely that simply just not filling us in on everything, and there's a larger plan that we just don't need to know yet.
Well, he did mention
Sort of
having
thing
lots of
does
other
happen.
groups and a primary mission.
The worry of do not need to know yet is of great concern, because what we do not need to know may be something heretical in nature, as in trying to control others of chaos to do their bidding.
I feel like
Or it could be siloing of information to make sure the enemy doesn't get wind of his plans. The difficulty with theory crafting when there's not enough proof is that you usually end up going down a rabbit hole.
Perhaps if we can catch Talron aspects, we may be able to get information that we...
So Kalrak, Your communication panels lights up. You're getting a incoming vox specific to your vehicle.
Okay. I'll like give a hand signal for everybody to shut the fuck up, and then I'll flip the switch and put it on.
It is the same armory acolyte or adept that you've been speaking to several times. He looks a bit pale, but he's holding it together pretty well, and he says, excuse me, I was hoping to speak with Acolyte Santoro.
This is Kalrak Malkos of the Iron Hands 10th Company.
Yes, I know exactly who you are.
However, I will put you through.
Thank you.
Yes, this is like a Centauro.
My finger's now hovering above the cutoff button, just waiting for Lycus to signal, and I'll just flip the switch.
I have a call for you from one Talrond Aspects. We're attempting to trace the call right now.
Excellent. Put him through.
I shall vox him in. So Talrond appears, but he's a bit different than how you've seen him before. He's wearing some very nice gold clothing, like a Doctor Strange cloak made entirely out of woven gold. He seems to be a bit taller, slightly more handsome. Maybe that gut he got stabbed in earlier has receded a little bit. He's looking good. And he says, Lycus Santoro, my friend, you've been very busy. I wanted to thank you. You've been such a great help to me.
You've been a great help to me as well.
Really?
Yes.
Well, I am ever so pleased to be at your service. Can I inquire as to how it is that I have helped you beyond setting you on the path to discover what I'm sure your little Inquisition has found? The tyrannid plots abounding on the planet that for 5 generations have been in existence. Or maybe it was that time where I sent you to go kill those corn worshippers after I told that fool that he could join Chaos United, or I would send exterminators to eliminate him. But I don't need to risk any of my men. You did it for me. Fascinating.
Absolutely.
You have been one of the most key figures for advancing chaos on the planet, Lycus Santoro.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
Why are you talking like that?
Well, no reason at all. Perhaps you would like to meet at some point.
I assure you, we will meet at some point, when you are prepared to bow before me and join the side of chaos. Surely you've already realized the Imperium has been struggling for 10,000 years. Its technology continues to weaken and grow older. The daemonic forces only get stronger. Chaos will rule, and the forces of the Emperor will lose. Would it not be wiser to offer our services now?
Absolutely, especially with the Tyrannid threat coming in.
Why are
soon.
you talking like that? It's
I
very
don't know
unusual.
what you're talking about.
You're taking a tone to your voice like, are you trying to find me?
I've been trying to find you for quite some time now.
He hangs up.
Ah, son of a bitch. Can I get to the adept?
Yeah, I mean, when he hangs up, the adept is, like, desperately doing calculations on screen. He's, like, keyboarding.
Any luck?
We attempted to trace his signal through several relays. We lost it somewhere in the capital. It's a large capital.
Yes, that's the issue.
We're in the capital, aren't we, right now?
Yes, you. According to your transponder, you are currently in the capital.
You could always glass it.
According to your
Can you get
transponder, you are
to-
currently sitting on the pad where you got into your vehicle from.
Can you narrow it down to maybe a few districts
I'll
of
get
the
back
capital?
to you, Adept or Acolyte.
Okay.
He hangs up the call.
Yeah.
So, as a suggestion, Acolyte, if we contacted the Inquisitor, let him know that we know he's within the city. it wouldn't be hard to get all exits to the city shut down, all flight traffic shut down, in light of the recent demonic attack. So at least we can guarantee for the next 24 hours that Aspects isn't leaving the city.
Absolutely. We don't have much time. I need to call him right now, actually. Lycus starts calling the Inquisitor.
You get put on hold for about 5 minutes, and then the Inquisitor comes on. He's looking even more tired than the last time you saw him, which was about 10 minutes ago.
I was about to say 10 minutes ago.
He says, Acolyte, I understand there are interesting things happening, Lycus. What do you require?
It seems that our lovely friend Tolerant Aspects is within the city, and he actually tricked the worshippers of the Blood Throne to about some united throne that he had no intention of doing. And he did, in fact, know about the Tyranid attack in advance. I was wondering if we could get a full lockdown of the capital.
Such a thing is easily accomplished with your rosette. But
That
I
is
assume
true.
since you are coming to me for permission, you would like the Lord Governor to make the announcement.
Yes, it's force of habit, sir.
Very well. I will speak with Colm.
Thank you.
Speak.
Oh, Connor Hughes is watching us live today. Colm Humes is extremely loosely based off of Connor. Only in the most parody-ish way.
I can see that. I can see that indeed.
Yeah, I just needed a funny version of Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Several minutes later, there's a broadcast from the governor on his terrace to the people. It gets voxed to everywhere, informing the people of Regnum Prime, we must come together during these trying times. The forces of the enemy have continuously assailed us, but we have prevailed. Now, our wonderful and tithable Imperial Guard soldiers are being sent afar to face a threat, but a greater threat remains among us, and only through your cooperation can we defeat it. Be vigilant with your neighbors. Report any signs of heresy or aliens or demonic forces, and most of all, do not leave the city. In fact, remain inside your dormitories if at all possible, or in your place of work. I am authorizing triple shifts with no overtime pay. Just know, the Emperor loves you, I love you, and your government loves you, and we will do everything that we can to protect you. The Emperor protects. And you can hear in the background like a canned audience response of like, the Emperor protects, and it does like a panning shot of all these people in the square being like, yeah, Emperor protects, and it fades out to Aquila, the double Aquila of the Imperium on a flag, waving majestically.
Report your friends and family. Fabulous prizes to be won.
Thank you, Red Dwarf.
You have now shut down the capital.
Now, if
Right, I
were
believe
a
we're heading to the
follower-
church.
Are we still heading that way?
You haven't
Well,
taken off yet.
It's the only lead we have. to
Literally.
Where, yeah,
Aside from
Where
being in
to-
the capital, yes.
yeah, to where he might have followers. What I propose is that if you and Antipho were to go inside and question some of the novice sisters regarding who interacted with the sister that was fallen 6 months ago, and Kalrak and I remain outside and see if your presence, so to speak, triggers anybody to flee, trying to carry information to Aspects potentially.
So what you're telling me is I need to put on a show.
You're wearing power armor covered in Inquisitorial seagulls. You're already putting on a show.
I could always put up more of a show.
You do have a heavy flamer. That is true.
All right,
Seems
we'll
like a
head that
fun
way.
day.
Let's be off. And like it just suddenly kicks the Valkyrie into gear and starts flying out.
see.
Antipho unwraps a power bar.
One of those Imperial Guard standard issue power bars. Could I have you make a piloting check real quick? Difficulty
Sure
3.
thing.
And he immediately crashes.
He did get that critical earlier, which I'm holding on to.
Actually, if we crash, Lycus and I will survive.
Well, you
guys
either
are
had to
fucked.
use it or
Oh,
you had
I
to use
did
it or
use
take
it.
a
Don't
rest.
worry.
Okay. Oh, that was almost the one on the rat die.
I know, and it would have been great.
When Lycus just guns it, I'm just gonna straight turn to him. I lost my legs once already to an air vehicle crash. It will not happen again.
Do you like pull back the power back down to cruising speed?
No, I just give him a look, like, you know, if you know, like, if the crash doesn't kill us, you know, kill you, I will. Like,
yeah.
flashbacks to the Thunderhawk crash. I'm not a
So,
fan.
you know, there is an incident while you're flying. When you were back there fooling around with the drop thing, it looks like maybe you messed with the engine a little bit. One of your engines, like, flames out, and you have to do an emergency restart while the vehicle is in the air slowly. You know, like, with only one engine, it's moving to one side. But, you know, you're an experienced pilot. You get it working long before there's any real threat. And great news, you've never made better time across the city with literally no one in your way. You arrive outside of the Ministorum Temple, Chapel, adjacent to Precinct J125, the site of one of our first battles. Where are you landing that thing? You're just going to land it in the middle of the street?
Probably, yeah.
All right, you set it down at that intersection. There is a sister outside who falls to her knees when you approach at the side of your power armor.
I make a show of checking all of my weapons individually as we're walking up.
It's like that scene in Commando, you know, where he's knife, guns, grenades, the whole 9 yards.
Stand up quickly. I don't have time to waste at the
Yes.
moment.
What can we do for you?
I need you to
Acolyte?
wrangle up all the novice priestesses that you have.
We
along with
have
anybody
no
else.
novice priestesses.
I just need you to wrangle everybody up that could have been spoken to a prisoner that was here 6 months ago.
All such individuals were eliminated.
That sounds about right.
We
I wish to
may
see your
have,
records then.
We may have some staff remaining, but no novices.
Can you pull the staff in for me?
I will immediately do so.
Thank you.
So, after a few minutes of flurry of activity, you get to hang out in the main chapel area. If you'll recall, there was a gathering of skulls that had been made. No one has placed more skulls there, and they had been routinely removed by Wilmot Ritter. But since his death, the last set of skulls left by, what was her name?
Duet.
Is still there. It's still in front of the shrine for the Emperor. So, you know, they look like they're being tastefully taken care of by the local staff. Two sisters by the name of Ionity and Bremita are brought before you. They are something, they're not, you know, like sisters of battle, like full sisters of battle. They appear to work in this church as Ministorum staff rather than, you know, power arming flamers.
Right.
Ionity says, Acolyte, we were not here specifically in the time that you requested, but we have worked out of here over the last few years, and we know some of the people that you were involved with. Like,
Did you know anything, see anything strange of them before?
the novice that you eliminated had a unusually close relationship with her jailer.
Is the jailer by chance still alive?
No, he was eliminated.
Of course. Was there someone alive that knew the jailer?
Yes, the jailer was quite popular. His name was Palatine with the local precinct. He was close with several of their members.
And is there anyone else that knew the novice besides the jailer?
She looks at Bremita and says, "What we did."
When did you start noticing her changes?
I never noticed any changes. We were not here when that incident occurred.
When she was imprisoned?
Yes, we were assigned elsewhere on the planet.
Hmm. And there's no one else that's alive that was assigned that night? Or the day that she was jailed?
So, Bremita says, technically, this church was under the umbrella of Talrond aspects.
Of course. And would the jailer be at the precinct at the moment?
As we mentioned earlier, he is actually dead. He was eliminated
Oh,
by
no, his
order of the
friend would be at the
Inquisition.
He was close with a few members of the precinct.
Yes. And what was the person's name again?
Which
That works
person?
at the precinct? The one that works at the
Palatine
precinct.
is the name of the guard,
Yes.
the jailer.
All right. Can I briefly go through the records again, if I may?
You want to go through the records in Ritter's office?
Yes, any records of the
Look at the
novice and then of the jailer.
look at
So
the
you head
woman
back
he's-
there, and
There were documents we were looking through that Ritter interrupted us on last time as well.
I was gonna ask the woman who was talking. You wouldn't be lying to us now, would you?
Ionity is she seems shocked at the scandal of it. We would never lie to the Inquisition. We are here because of the purity of our faith. And Bremini says, the Emperor protects. They give you faces of pure innocence. A halo appears behind them.
Is there any way to insight them?
There's
Yes,
an insight.
absolutely.
What would that be? Would that be?
It's insight. It's under.
insight. It's actually just called
fellowship.
insight.
I don't see an insight.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
It's beneath
no.
deception, above
Let me
intimidation.
Oh, wow.
You needed 3. You got 6.
That's a 6 on the rat die.
Do you want to upspend those criticals for more information, or you want to use that, maybe get a little bit of that glory juice?
I can only upshift once, right?
You needed 3. You got 6. So yes, you can only upshift once.
I'll upshift for glory.
Okay. What to tell you without the critical? I see. An insight. Just remember, insight is not thought reading, but you're a good Imperial guardsman, you know, Tempestus Militarum. You
Well,
know,
all right.
You know women of good moral character and fiber when you see them. Their intentions seem pure, unlike that of many of the guardsmen you've met in your life.
That's fair. I'll simply respond to her then. I appreciate your forthrightness. I follow Hero of the Imperium, Lycus Santoro.
So Ionity stops you and says, have you had time to reflect and pray lately, brother?
Not really, no.
Would you like to? She gestures to the empty chapel. There are none others here. You may find privacy and security in your thoughts.
I look to Lycus for permission.
You may go ahead.
Bremina
I'll be able
says,
to take
I
care
will
of
pray
myself."
with him. And
And
I
make
will be there if you require spiritual guidance.
And make sure to surreptitiously leave my comms open.
Okay.
I will intentionally turn mine off because I don't want to hear these shenanigans.
Well, I was planning on praying silently. I was turning my comms on in case
Something happened to all
bad
of
Putting your
you.
microphone on mute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Ionity stays in the general area with the rest of you, while Bremina leads Antipho up to the altar, and then they just sit and kneel in front of it and silently pray. Ionity leads you back to the new preacher's office, and when you open it, he's just like, "What the? Who are you to just? Oh, the Inquisitor. Apologies, I didn't realize anyone was just going to barge open my door any particular day. What can I do for you?"
I need to look at the records of two particular individuals, or at least retrieve the records of them. The jailer that was here 6 months ago, and the novice that was found to be corrupt.
I understand. All of our records are open to you. So he heads to the closet in the room and opens it up, and inside is the same servitor you saw before. The servitor begins pulling records off the wall at the direction of the preacher. You are looking for Jailer Palatine's records and the young Acolyte novice that was... let's call it killed.
Killed. Purged would be correct, but
Purge is good. Her name was Alicella.
is the records of the one that works with the precinct might be here, or is it just records of the people who worked in the church?
So the jailer Palatine is not a member of the Ministorum. He's like a local contractor. He's a government contractor, basically. So on this planet, private industry is a huge thing. As you already know, the Ministorum really can't arm men. So when it needs jailers, it finds local contractors to fill that job. So Palatine does have a record here, but it's kind of loose because, he wasn't raised in a progena. He, doesn't have a huge number of files. He's your average Imperial citizen. Alicella has a full record from her moment of adoption up till the time that she is killed, and then a record of where her various body parts were sent to afterwards. So you got the whole life story there. What are you looking for out of these records?
I would like to look for mainly the jailers, actually.
Okay.
I want to see what company he was contracted through.
He was contracted basically as his own private LLC in his own name.
Okay.
Take a look at what she was doing prior to when she was arrested as well, or when she was first found to be wanting.
I'll do that as well.
Okay. So his LLC has ties to the precinct as well. He appears to moonlight on free times, holidays, weekends as a bounty hunter, and turn all of his catches into Precinct J125, which is, again, the one right across the street. Right. Alicella, you're looking into what she does. She was started to be suspected of heresy when, during the Blood Throne Skull issue with Duet, she took a unusual interest in the skull configurations and all of the blood, and she was thusly imprisoned after making some heretical comments, specifically naming the Lord of Skulls, to the shock of everyone around her. At which point she went into, a kind of rant. She and several other nearby were all arrested, who you then executed.
There's no records of her leaving, going specific places. at all?
There are such records. This isn't the first place she's ever been assigned to. She is from Valorum, another planet in the system, and she was sent here as a young progena in order to learn. She bounced around a bit, but one of her last year of schooling was underneath Talrond Aspects and his progena cluster. And then of course she was assigned to a facility that again he was loosely in charge of as a kind of wandering drill abbot. She was in her final year before getting a more permanent adult assignment.
What facility was that?
I don't have a name for it, but let's just call it a local progena cluster. It's not. Oh, you're asking which one she would be assigned to?
Well, the one where she would have been exposed to aspects, for example.
Oh, yeah, just like a local progena cluster somewhere in the capital. There are several here.
Is that one purged as well?
Yes, it has been fully purged due to its association with Talrond Aspects.
Sometimes we're too efficient for our good, it seems.
It's the problem with murdering is you can't go back and ask questions of the dead. Well, you can, but not with the Shadow of the Warp currently.
Is there a file for Talrond Aspects?
Yes, it is massive.
Luckily, you have the strength to lift it now.
So it specifically has an Inquisitorial seal on it, and it's not stored physically. It is stored in the computer that he is sitting at.
Right.
Is there a file for Kalrak?
So first off, you're forcing this guy out of his chair so that you can use his computer.
Yes, very, very brashly.
Perhaps it would be best for me to go out to the storehouse and count things.
Yes, please.
So he leaves. You are unsealing the file for Kalrak and
I shut the door and physically block it with my body.
Well, before we do, can I discreetly follow the guy that just left? Just maybe 5 minutes that he just go and busy himself, or if he actually
absolutely. Please make a stealth roll.
No worries.
I would Oh no, you can't use your chameleon cloak thing either.
My chameleon cloak works. My psychic power doesn't.
Oh, that's right. You can't use your psychic power.
The cloak is real. It's real. It's a thing.
Arthur, I realized I'd rolled one too few dice on that because with that XP we got from the last one, I actually bumped up my fellowship. So
wow.
If you would allow me, I'd like to use that second upshift for an additional glory.
Sure.
So I have 6 successes, but a complication on the stealth check.
How to give you a complication on this roll?
You could just take ruin.
But I rarely ever get to use that. I will take ruin, but it feels like a cheap cop-out. If only because exposing yourself on a successful roll is the complete opposite of a successful roll. You do track him for some time, 5 minutes. He is completely oblivious. So as he walks out of the room, he's just like, how unusual. What? How unusual. And then he starts singing a hymn to the Emperor. He's just like, praise the Emperor, as he shuffles along and just, Emperor's light surrounds us. He makes his way back to the storehouse and he's just like, 1, 2 towels, 3 towels, 4 towels. That's that packet. Okay. So
he's NPC busy is what you're saying.
Yeah. He is literally out in the storehouse attached to this particular place. Just like 2 cans of gas. That's not enough.
Right.
Send
I'll return the others in.
Out. Yeah, you're just like, this is so boring. Ambient dialogue is the worst. which file do you want to examine first?
I would like to mainly just look at our shoot. How did I forget his name immediately? Talron Aspects.
Talron Aspects.
Been
Okay,
using it
so
3
Talron Access was born on the local farming world nearby Revisio, within the system. He was sent, as children do, into the Progena and then reassigned to Regnum Prime, where he was raised to be a Imperial Guard soldier. He spent his time tithe for the first 5 years, and then it was noted that his faith was unusually strong and that he had a purity of heart, and he requested a transfer to Valorum. At the time that he was on Valorum for a few years, he entered the Adeptus Ministorum as a successful veteran and began working his way through the priesthood. It seems, you know, in his career, like yearly reporting, he has a very strong push to become a drill abbot, which was finally granted last year, where he became a drill abbot candidate and was given leave to watch over a few progenitor groups in order to test his suitability, at which point he would become a full drill abbot and have the run of the system.
Is there any known associates in the records that may still be
There
alive?
are hundreds of known associates. He has lived on 3 different planets. He served in the Imperial Guard. He served in a Progena. He was a wandering minister for a while.
Can I narrow the search down to associates that reside within the capital?
Yes. That is a list of about 50 people. Most of the people that are listed there, their status is either questionable or dead. They were recently executed over the last 6 months by order of the Imperial Inquisition.
Of course.
When you get down to the people that are still alive, it's about 12.
Are any of them tailors?
Are any of them tailors? Several of the people that have been executed are tailors. Not the guy you're thinking of, though.
No, I'm not thinking of... I'm just saying specifically.
Yes, there are several tailors who he used exclusively for his personal endowment, his personal fancifulness. Of course, all of his work clothes would be provided by the Ministorum and the Munitorum.
Yes. Are any of them still alive?
Yes.
How many?
There is one tailor on that list that is still alive, non-executed.
I will make a note of that name.
The name is Hawk Pool, and that's Pool with an E on the end. That's also Hawk with an E on the end.
Is anyone in the list known for having something kind of large underground facilities within the capital?
So Hawkpool, in fact, does have a large facility. It's a hive capital, so of course they're like 99% of it's underground. He is not a tailor in the way that you would think of it. He's like a factory manager of a tailing manufacturer.
Right.
Manufactorum. He has perhaps thousands of workers working for him.
Is the Eshairr back yet?
Yes.
Yeah. I would have let Eshairr in and then immediately reclosed the door.
You need something, Acolyte?
I just want to communicate something here because this might be just a very off lead, but of course it could be the correct lead. In the Vox, he was wearing very fanciful clothes.
Definitely.
This Hawks person is a known associate who owns a tailing company that owns a large warehouse.
It seems worth investigating.
Okay, I'm just wondering if I was chasing bad ends or... Because right now, this is the only associate I see at the moment that owns a place big enough to withhold, I don't know, a small army or a small group of followers. Of course, it's one of the only leads we have at the moment.
I imagine I'm still praying.
I don't think we should
Have you
take
said
it.
anything?
Me?
Yes. You're just praying silently.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So she puts a hand on your shoulder because it's been about 20 or 30 minutes and says, "Faith is so commendable. You could see her eyes are welling up with tears. There's so many that we serve here. With the transport lockdown, I can't imagine how lost they feel without the Emperor, without being able to communicate and share." Goes in for a hug.
Like,
It's a
grabbing,
snotty tear hug as well.
like immediately grab for my arc pistol. What's happening?
Meanwhile, back in the office.
So she
And then
releases the hug and takes this
They're
couple
just kind
steps
of like
back.
just awkwardly patting her on the back, like this is really happening.
She's sobbing. She's
all right.
like, I just care so much, and there's so many who we could help, and we can't, and all of the horrible things that are happening. The guard leaving, the giant space aliens coming, the Eldar are everywhere now, and daemons. I just love the Emperor so much, and I want everyone to love him as much as I do.
Probably the only thought going through Antipho's brain right now is this bitch is crazy.
So
She didn't
because
say God Emperor.
Yeah, okay, my apologies. Which she would have meant to say God Emperor. All of you are hearing every word of this, but it's muffled because it's the microphone is in on the hug as well.
I would assume, madam, that things will return to normal soon enough. These sort of things do tend to happen, you know. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I just really want to kill some Eldari. They fly around. They act like they own the capital. I'm sorry. I don't want to wipe my nose on my sleeve. Do you have a tissue or something?
Do you like rummage around and
you have several napkins that would have been used to hold a sandwich filled with crumbs.
I like kind of pull one of those out and kind of brush the crumbs off it.
She blows her nose into it very loudly and then like sits down and resumes praying again. Well, no, she probably goes and makes sure all of the candles in the shrine are relit, the hundreds of candles, leaving you to privately pray or remove snot from your clothing as you would.
I'll remove snot. I think at that point the praying is kind of done. She ruined the mood. So
I mean, it's just that she has a very different mood than you.
I'll take my leave and rejoin Lycus and make sure that he's not dead.
Okay, Lycus is actually not dead. However, because you haven't closed your microphone yet, the rest of the team starts getting a feedback loop.
Turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I flip it off.
Did you enjoy your time among the worshippers, Antipho?
Yeah, it was enlightening.
Absolutely revolting.
Sure.
Is there anything anybody else would like to try to figure out a possible lead while we're here?
Well, while we're here, there is that the Inquisitor's file is right there.
Do these things keep a log of who looks into these?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you just unsealed it with his personal rosette.
That's true.
To the system, it's the equivalent of Googling yourself.
Yeah.
He accessed his own file. Oh, wow. Nothing amiss here.
You want to open it?
I don't know if that's the wisest decision.
It's one of those things you won't get a second chance for, but it's up to you.
Yes. Well, if we go after,
Surely the Inquisitor would encourage you to trust no one, not even himself.
yes,
He has
but-
encouraged you to not trust the rest of your team, but he's never said don't trust him. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the Inquisition pretty much tells you to trust no one, and it's also a heresy to call an Inquisitor a heretic.
It's rough. It's a catch-22.
Everything's heresy to the Inquisition.
Well, if
Turn
we go
in your
after
family
Talon
or friends.
aspects and we have to fight pretty much half an army anyway, might as well take a chance.
Fabulous prizes.
Lycus will open up his file.
Okay, what are you looking for?
I don't know.
Okay, so a quick overview. He was born in a planet called Pietor in a nearby system. Same sector, different system. He was not a progena. He was the child of nobility, but at a young age was determined to basically become a imperial assassin, and was noticed by the time he turned 18 by an inquisitor for his incredible stealth abilities and investigative abilities that were said to be almost supernaturally good. At that point, he was identified as being a psyker and underwent conditioning back on Terra after being released for being, what's it called, sanctioned psyker. He continued with that same Inquisitor's retinue for about 20 years. That Inquisitor led him to this planet, Regnum Prime. At that point, the Cicatrix Maledictum stuck in, and the two of them and the rest of the Inquisitorial team were stuck there. The Inquisitor died after a few years, but not before essentially illegally declaring that Calidus would be his heir. Normally, it requires up to 3 Inquisitors to make another Inquisitor, but in his file, the other Inquisitor, previous Inquisitor, basically said there's a chance that there's no other planets out there. For order, I must make this man an Inquisitor. He's the most worthy. He continuously gives pretty glowing recommendations. It almost seems like this previous Inquisitor is very, very different. Almost rogue traitorish in his level of bravado. He loved these reports that you're seeing are almost all written by him in the early years, and they are verbose, wordy, swashbuckling. At that point, the file begins to be filled out by Calidus himself and becomes very perfunctory. Reports are short and brief. It mentions that he is looking for a specific object in the subsector because of, the Inquisitor who assigned him to this job. He's had several rejuvenate treatments in order to ensure that he can find the object before he expires of natural causes, which he doesn't really expect to do. His file outlines that he's assumes that he's going to die on the job one day, possibly assassinated by one of his own men. He is looking for the object that will do the following, and this is where the Eldari come in. They had been chasing down a lead. I'm gonna have to look this up. Actually, we're at break time. That means I don't have to look it up right now. Let's go on break, and when we come back, I will give you the exact story as to how this goes down. How about that? So we'll be back in about 8 minutes for the second half. Stick around.